What if you're much closer to your most potent power than you think? What if you're already living out your life's purpose because of the powerful draw that your soul has to the things that you were meant to do here on earth? What if you possess greater strength than you've ever imagined? And what if you're already saving the world with that strength, with that power, with that purpose? And the next step is just a matter of sharing it on a more broader scale. Hello, my name is Jenna, and I'm here today to talk to you about you and about me a little bit because I'm sharing some experiences. But the main focus today is how you might already be living your life's purpose. I talk a little bit about how you can bring your attention to some new things, bring your attention to what might be calling you. But today I'm shifting it just slightly to go into how you might already be living out an aspect of who you are, and how you're already living your purpose is a big clue about what to do next. So, to begin, the spirits have been speaking to me, and they have been telling me to tell you about this dream I had about a year ago, year and a half maybe, where a big black bear bit me on my left hand. So in this dream, it was this very violent, like, humph, like it just really bit me. And that's scary in a dream, right? Like it's a bear and it bit me and it just felt aggressive and violent. And I woke up just feeling stressed, like, what the hell was that? But no matter what, I wrote it down. And anyway, even though it stressed me out, because dreams that evoke powerful, big emotions often are trying to send you a very particular message. So even if it's one of aggression tied in with a little bit of fear, chances are there's still something important there that you need to learn. So I wrote it down, even though I didn't know what it meant. The true meaning of it didn't come to me until, you know, well, recently, the last couple months. And then I decided to, it came into my mind again today to share with you. So when you start treating things that come to you from the natural world as divine messages, it carries such deeper meaning and it connects you more to yourself and the world around you. That right there, beginning to treat animals and nature as collaborators, as those we share a resource with, the earth, that alone can help heal a lot of the feelings of isolation that you might have, right? In the United States, we are conditioned to feel isolated, like we're not enough, like we're disconnected, that the only way we can connect is to buy things that will make us feel better about ourselves or show a particular mask that we're perfect and we're beautiful and we're happy and we're strong and we have it all together, when really that's the weakest thing we can do, because it's just a mask. It's a flimsy mask, but it's one that we've all been conditioned to wear. So when you bring your attention to dreams that you might have about animals or trees or flowers or the sun or anything, or when you start noticing the animals that are appearing in your life, they are often a spirit, or there's a spirit working with them to communicate with you, because the spirits use the natural world to communicate with us, because we are a part of this natural world and we are spirit. We're a combination of both. And so the spirits speak to our spirit, the divine part of us, but they also speak to us through the natural world, because in our physical bodies here on earth, we are a part of the natural world. And it's actually a beautiful, sacred language that you can learn more about in the book Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. But back to the bear, bears, I have never, when I first had this dream, besides the fact that it scared me, I've never thought bears were particularly cool. Admittedly, I kind of judged them and they're kind of like, sounds that they made. And they just, they sit, they're big, they hibernate. I'm a person of action, meaning like they're big, but they just don't seem to move a whole lot. There's nothing wrong with being big, but like they just kind of seemed like this massive, ominous presence that wasn't super just active. So for me, it's like, yeah, okay, you're big, you have all the strength, but you hibernate, So it just, I was never particularly impressed with them. until I saw a documentary called Something Bit Me and saw this man who was attacked by a female bear and just how fast, ferocious, and strong she was. That started to shift my perspective a little bit. And this book speaks all about, what it means when a bear comes to you. And this bear, like where an animal bites you in a dream, is significant too. It bit me on my left hand. My left hand, so the left side is all about our femininity, our intuition, and our hands symbolize action, how we take action. So by this black bear biting me in my dreams, it was specifically marking and targeting my intuition, my femininity, and my ability to take action. What it was doing is it was powerfully activating a protector role. You've heard the phrase mama bear, but unfortunately, pop culture has made it seem really cheesy, like the kind of thing that only people who shop at Lululemon would say, like mama bear mode. Like it's really just, I think, done a disservice to actual mother bears and their strength. And they are rather formidable, ferocious creatures. And if you doubt it, watch the Something Bit Me documentary on Disney Plus, the episode about the guy who gets attacked by this female grizzly bear. It's wild, but bears are incredibly strong and they use their strength wisely. They are also incredibly protective. So as I studied Ted Andrews' book and read about the bear, I learned that the bear is also highly associated with creativity. And the reason is I was just talking to you about how how children and creativity are kind of lumped together, that when we have a creative idea, it is like something we need to birth. It is almost like a child that we nurture and it stays with us for a lifetime. Well, bears are associated with creativity because of how they protect their young, specifically female bears. They house and incubate their young inside the den for a long time, several months, until it's safe enough for them to come out. And then when they do come out, they are fiercely protective of those young. There's a lesson right there in how we need to be fiercely protective of our creativity. But how it pertained to me personally when this bear bit me in my dream, it was so aggressive because it was trying to really wake me up. Even though I didn't fully understand it, I reflected on the situation. And shortly after this bear bit me is when I also quit my job and began to kind of incubate my true warrior nature, my true creativity. It's when I kind of went into a cocoon shortly after this bear bit me, and it was trying to wake me up. It was trying to get me out of this harmful environment that was doing a disservice to my creativity and my protective spirit, and encourage me to go into an incubator of my own so that I could really learn about the highest form of my soul's purpose, which is to be a protector, which is to be a warrior, which is to defend that which I love and those whom I love. And that includes you and this whole world. That's why I talk to you. So so it was aggressive because it was trying to get my attention. It was trying to set me on a new path. And here's the part about how we might already be living out our life's purpose. It just might be time to start giving that purpose a little bit more of our energy and attention. Because when I reflected on the time leading up to this bear dream, which is like basically my whole life, I've always been drawn to warrior and protective roles. I loved the goddess Artemis growing up. When I learned about Greek mythology in high school, I loved Artemis. I loved her connection to the moon. When I went on to college and graduate school and I read the books of Pellinor, there was this elemental spirit named Ardina who transformed into a wolf. It's another animal that I've been drawn to. Wolves are very much pack protectors. And she was this elemental moon spirit at the same time. And I loved that. I also, in high school and early college, loved the Underworld movies starring Kate Beckinsale. Of course, now when I look back on those, I see how much they sexualized her, which is really annoying. But she was also incredibly powerful. She had this super strength. She didn't want to fuck around with people. She said what she thought. She did what she wanted. She overcame her enemies. I loved those movies because of how powerful she was. When I was a kid, I loved Lex in the Jurassic Park movie because of her computer knowledge. She protected those she loves, her brother, um, and the two scientists. I can't believe I'm forgetting their names now. Dr. Grant, and Ellie. Forgetting Ellie's name, but you know who I'm talking about. Well, Ellie's last name, but she's a doctor too. Anyway, Lex, because of her computer knowledge, locked the door and kept the raptors out. And as a kid, I just fell in love with that because of her ability to protect via her mind, via her knowledge. And so this is the other lesson. There's so many ways to be protective, to create safety. And my friends, this is the most important part of the message for you. All human beings need safety. We cannot thrive if we don't feel safe. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's right there at the base of it. Jay Shetty, in all of his work, he talks about how from everything that he's done and learned, he's found that what people desire even more than love, even more than joy, is safety. We have to have safety if we're going to experience anything else. And so, with that being said, what are you being called to create safety for? Because for me, when I reflect on my life, it's like, yeah, even when I was maybe out of alignment with who I really was, protective instincts were always there for me. I always was drawn to female protectors. I was always wanting to be strong. Whenever I was seen as being strong, I loved it. I mean, even when I was in like fifth and sixth grade, I got this award for my basketball team where I was like the wrestler because of how like aggressively I defended the net. I always loved being strong. I always loved being a protector. And that's because that's part of what I was called to do. That's part of this bear medicine that has been speaking me. This bear that bit me in my dream was aggressively trying to pull me into full alignment with who I was, which is a protector, which is someone who defends that which is precious. And I can see ways that I did that even in my teaching career. I was always able to sniff out bullies, to see bullies. Even when they were being passive aggressive, I always heard them, I always saw them, and I always called them out. It's always been a big part of who I am, where I can see bullies, I can call bullies out, I can sense their intentions, and it's even been brought into my presence with dealing with the domestic violence that my family is enduring. I sensed that my husband's ex was a violent, abusive person way before she ever hit him. Well, hit him, that is, when we were in a relationship. Unfortunately, she had hit him in the past. And so I've always been a protector. And this is what this dream was trying to tell me. So, what have you been drawn to your whole life? And this is what I mean about how you might already be living out your life's purpose. You might have already been drawn to the things that you were meant to heal and protect and create without you even knowing it. What kind of movies did you love as a kid? Not movies that you felt pressured to support, but what did you love? What kind of stories did you love? The stories that we love, which includes books, movies, TV shows, comedy sketches, all that stuff, or even just stories our family may have told us. The stories we love give us a big clue about the kinds of things that we were meant to do here on earth, a big clue about our own soul, about our own imagination, because the things that we're drawn to are reflections of who we are. So, what have you been drawn to? What have you created? How are you already living out your life's purpose in some form? And how can you get into deeper alignment with that? For me, I was living out my life's purpose as a protector when I was a teacher because I was protecting and raising young minds in a sense. That's where the creativity comes from. But I was being called to step out of that and into an environment that could support my gifts more deeply. So maybe you already have been living them out, but there's a way that you could align them more closely with who you really are. For me, how do my protector roles play out? Here's the thing, it's new. It's innovative. You might not fully understand your gifts yet. I'm obviously not a cop. I'm obviously not the Secretary of Defense. Jesus, you know. Um, I'm not any of those things right now. I don't have a clear public role for my protective nature, but I talk to spirits. They've told me things like the key is in what you see. These dreams that I have where I've called law enforcement when something dangerous is going on and they do nothing, but it's right there before my eyes. I'm the one that's being called to action. And in some of those dreams, I do the protecting. I'll pick up the phone to call the cops and they don't care, or they yell at me for using the phone in the first place. So when I hang it up and I turn and face the enemy, well, then they're brought down. So my protector role in some ways has been always present, omnipresent, but I'm learning how to express it in the world. And it's through what I see. What do you see that nobody else does? What have you been holding in your mind, in your heart, in your eyes, in your hands that other people just don't notice? And you're maybe afraid to talk about. It might be time that you talk about it. There are some cultures that believe that when we speak something, that's a way of signaling to the universe that we want to bring it into existence. So maybe you living out your higher purpose is as simple as saying it out loud to somebody. Speak the things that you see because you never know who's listening. That's something that Chani was talking about recently on one of her podcasts during this wild eclipse season. She talks about how we never know who's listening when we send our message. It could be the spirits, it could be somebody who has some depths to them that you didn't know that they had. I reconnected with a family member of mine over the past year who, just due to having some different lifestyles and things going on, we drifted, but I felt pulled to share some of my psychic visions with her. And it was scary. I was sharing things where I'm like, oh my God, is she just going to think I'm a weirdo? Like I was nervous. And now she is one of my biggest supporters when it comes to my vision and my gifts. In so many ways, she supported me because I pushed past that fear of what she might think and told her anyway. My fear was right there next to my bravery. That's often how it goes. So, what is it that you see that you need to begin to bring into existence just by speaking it? You know what it is. And that's just the beginning. You don't have to have all the answers. Maybe you just need to talk about it. This thing that's been calling you, this part of you that's been longing to bite you on the hand, and wake you up. This is a journey. This is what it means to live fulfilled. And now more than ever, we have to create safety in creative ways, because I think we can all agree that our current structures certainly do not create safety. The structures that we have in place as a collective do not give human beings access to their most basic needs. Shelter, food, healthcare, protection. The current structures that we have are failing because they don't provide that to everybody. They provide it to the privileged few. So we as a society need to get more creative about creating safety, and you have some ideas. So for me, in my protector role, it means that I needed to learn more about it. That was the step for me, and I needed to start sharing the things that I was seeing. Because I shared it, I built confidence more and more with talking about things that I used to be embarrassed about. I garnered support in places I wouldn't have expected to. And so if there's one thing that you take away from today, it's that you have an idea, you have a piece of who you are that you need to share with someone, because they might help you with your next steps. They might be able to connect you to a resource where you can grow that vision. And for gosh sakes, pay attention to your dreams. Your dreams are always speaking to you. And often the most upsetting dreams are the ones with the most important message. And it can be as simple as saying, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Or write it down, because that signals to your brain that you want to remember it. And then you might find that the answers come to you throughout the day. Share it with someone you trust. And if there's no one you trust, trust your journal. and the right people will come to you. Pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to your senses, because they're all trying to give you a clue about who and what to trust. My friends, we are the answers for safety. We are not protected right now. We are not provided for right now. No matter how hard we work, we are not provided for. We are not paid the wages that we need to survive. We cannot trust those in power who say they're here to protect us, but maybe might not be. We are the solution. And we begin solving this problem of a lack of safety by paying attention to our own souls, rather than those who want to buy our souls. Pay attention to yourself, your divine nature, the spirits who might be speaking to you, the natural world. Earth has had to heal itself over and over again. It's had to start over and over again. So it might have some important messages about how we can do the same. If we stop treating the land around us as something to consume and colonize, maybe we can learn from it. Maybe we can connect to it. Maybe we can find our place in it, and we won't feel so depressed and isolated all the time, because we are powerfully connected. I found myself, my voice, and my purpose despite every obstacle, despite near-death experiences, despite sexism. I found myself. Thanks to those who really supported me and the spirits. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. They're powerful. Let's not limit them to jump scares that we see on ghost hunting shows. That's not how we're meant to interact with spirits. There are benevolent, kind spirits out there that are helping things grow, that are helping you grow, that want to work alongside you to protect and create. So let's maybe unplug from some of the consumerist bullshit, doom scrolling, and connect with the world around us again. Because I promise you, it's probably already been speaking to you, like I said, but it'll get louder. It'll get more powerful. We are the safety that we need. So get connected. And you know, a really great way to begin to do that is to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And thank you to those who have been sharing, by the way. It's not going unnoticed. So thank you to all of you who have shared. Please continue to do so I can keep the mic on, you know? And if you're new, great, welcome. Please listen and share as well. I've got so many episodes. I'm at like 105 now, you know, that's really exciting. So please share so that I can continue. But in the meantime, thanks for coming.